Welcome back to Organize with Grace podcast. If you're ready to declutter your life and home so that you can make room for peace in your heart, you're in the right place. Join me, Grace Ramon, your host and home organizer, where I and my guests share tips and encouragement to help you get started, especially when you don't know where to start. I'm here with you as you begin your decluttering journey, so let's get going. You ready? Hello there, friends. This is Grace with Organize with Grace. Thank you for coming back to the podcast, and I am so excited to talk with you again. It's been a bit. Like I told you, I record these podcast episodes when I can. I wish I can have a more consistent way of producing these for you. But until I do thank you for coming right back to it and listening. I do appreciate that. I know that you could probably be listening to many other home organization type podcasts, but I thank you for sticking with it and being patient with me when it comes to the production of these podcast episodes. But before I get on to the episode, I want to give a shout out to you, my listeners. And majority of you, according to my stats over here, are from the United States. So woohoo! So a good amount of you, 67% of you. And then the others are from Canada. Thank you so much for listening. United Kingdom, Australia, Italy, Germany, and there's a small percentage in India, Sweden, Switzerland, Singapore, France, Vietnam, Israel, Poland, Portugal, Tanzania, Philippines, where I'm from, Ireland, Belgium, Brazil, Denmark, New Zealand, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Spain, Greece, Jamaica, South Korea, Nepal, Taiwan, Uganda, and South Africa. Isn't that crazy how a podcast can reach around the world like that? And it's so exciting. It's so exciting. And so if you haven't had a chance, or if you have not tried to reach out, please do. I love to hear from listeners. I would love to hear from you and see what types of takeaways you've had so far from listening to Organize with Grace podcast, and would love to connect. And now that I'm not a whole lot on social media, I would rather have you email me. So you can email me at hello@organizewithgrace.com. And I would just love to know who you are. Give me your name if you don't mind, and how you found the podcast, and what has been what has been your takeaway so far in your decluttering journey and your organizational journey. Alrighty. So thank you. Thank you once again for those of you who are listening. I really appreciate you. This podcast would not really exist without you. And it's coming up on, it's been about 3 years since I started it. And so I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with you, and for those of you who have reached out, I appreciate you so much, and I hope that we can continue to connect. And did I say I was from the Philippines? Well, I am originally from the Philippines. Left when I was 10, and I have been living here in California for many, many years after that, since 1987. So anywho, I hope that you are still with me here. So our topic of the day is, once again, paper. It seems to be one of those things that all of us need to deal with, but we don't ever really talk about it because, one, it's not really fun to talk about paper, other than if you're like me, who are an organizer and love to find out what types of solutions I can provide my clients with it. But it's just not fun. And I believe one of the reasons why it's not fun for us is because it's so hard to process. It's so hard to figure out what to keep. It's so hard to figure out what to get rid of. So, I want to give you a resource during this particular episode that may help, and she has helped me tremendously. You know how, like, I don't know if you ever wonder this, like when you go to your hairstylist, is that, like, they're the ones working on your hair, and my number one question to them, to the hairstylist, is, well, who is working on your hair? Who do you trust enough to work on your hair? And I've gotten like various answers, and the top two are like, well, I cut my own hair, and I'm like, wow, that's pure talent right there. I wish I could do that. And then the other one is like, there was only like, one other person that I really, really trust with my hair. So that's cool. And I wanted to tell you that very quick story because, like, you may be wondering, well, where does Grace get all this stuff from? Like, all the tips that she provides us, and all of these strategies, or whatever that she tells us to do. Well, a lot of it is listening to people that are a lot more experienced than me and are a lot smarter than me. And one of them is a professional organizer by the name of Lisa Woodruff. She is like my paper organization guru. I was in her certification program like a couple of years ago of what she calls her Sunday basket, just pretty much the ultimate like paper organization type of method. And she really helped me make sense out of my paperwork. And a lot of times we get so intimidated by it. And she wrote a book, and I'm going to share that with you, called The Paper Solution: What to Shred, What to Save, and How to Stop It from Taking Over Your Life. So are there times when you feel like paper has taken over your life? Have you perhaps described it as an avalanche, a tsunami, a mountains of papers that you feel so overwhelmed by? Or do you feel like you're drowning in a flood of paper, just simply swamped? Now, these are descriptions that are real in our minds, because that's how it feels. That's how it feels like. And when you start to realize that, paper is really taking over your life and your space, your kitchen counter and your dining table. So what is the solution? Oh, and here in the US, right? So we're right around the corner at the time of the recording of this episode with when taxes are due. So that really heightens the anxiety of paper, and where are all those documents that you need in order to file? And it really raises people's anxiety. So what do we do? First of all, I want to tell you that you're not alone. We weren't born, or we didn't suddenly, like, when we became adults and we started this whole adulting thing, that suddenly our brains transformed into people who knew how to deal with paper. And as much as people wanted for this whole society to go paperless, I agree with Lisa when she says that, it's not going to happen. There will always be paper, and we will always need to be able to process them and process through them. So just know that you're not alone. Just know that, don't kick yourself if you feel like, I don't know what end is up when it comes to paper organization, because it is very confusing. It is very overwhelming when you have a lot. And that you've been keeping for a while. And the good news is there is a way to sort them out. But be patient with yourself because it will take time. Just as with anything else that we need to declutter and organize, it took time for it to accumulate. So it's going to take time for you to sort it all out and make it make sense to you so that it's not so hard to process through every week. And I'm also going to link back to episode 68 when I spoke with my friend Emily, who specializes in paper organization, about how to deal with all of those random piles that you have. So back to Lisa Woodruff. I just really like her so much because she gives us hope as far as paper organization. She says that overall that organization is a learnable skill. And this is a similar message that I provide you throughout. And I learned that from that term from her. So all credit goes to Lisa Woodruff on that one. And so I have the book in front of me, and what I want to give you, if you're interested, let me know, email me if you're interested, is that I have compiled a little bit from her book and some other resources, some documents that as a checklist. So that includes legal identification documents like Social Security cards, birth certificates, marriage license, passports, things like that. And the others can be like tax documents, as I just quickly mentioned earlier, property records, any medical records, wills and powers of attorneys or living will, things like that. And any finance records, retirement, pension plan, investment statements. Now, this is what Lisa refers to are those reference type of documents. So those are the things that you can or need to refer to from time to time. Now, the other category is going to be probably going to be the toughest ones because they are going to be your active papers. We also went over that, Emily and I, in that prior podcast episodes. And so these are your to-do lists. So that includes the mail, the bills, paper that comes home from church, or the flyer that got left in your front door, receipts, all the paperwork that seems to be everywhere. So I'm reading this from her book, and she describes these active papers. And she says, a piece of active paper is useful when it reminds us to take action on something. It might be a reminder to pay a bill online, send a snack to school, change the furnace air filter, give a pet monthly heartworm medicine, or tickets to a sports event you plan to attend. Now, the problem is these active papers, like I said, are everywhere. So when we go looking for it, we cannot find it. And there are however many rooms you have in your home, or however many spaces and nooks and crannies, you're looking everywhere for these because you have placed them anywhere in these places and you cannot find them. So key is, though these are active papers, though these are different types of papers, try to have one place to put them. One spot. And for Lisa, she calls it the Sunday basket. So it's like an open basket where you place all of these papers, but it's a complete system. And I use it myself personally. So if you're interested in that, I'd be happy to tell you more about it. But for my clients, what we do online is we literally open up mail that has not been opened up. And I provide them with guidance as to, depending on what that paper is and what they need to do with it. And so if that's something that you'd be interested in, I would love to guide you along and help you get started in your paper organization, because I find that my clients tell me that, I don't know if I can actually I've tried to do this on my own by myself, and I don't understand why, but it's so much easier when you are there to, whether I'm physically there, face to face with them, or I do this as well online through Zoom. So there's something amazing about someone helping you along and guiding you. But for the purposes of this podcast, just know that there are two areas or two categories that you can put your papers in, if you're wondering. And that would be the reference type papers, like I mentioned to you earlier, or the active papers. Now, everything in between, if you want, I am planning to. I don't know that I'm going to actually be able to do it. I'm gonna see if there's more interest among you who are listening. Let me know. Email me hello@organizewithgrace.com if you are interested in a group paper organization type of a workshop that you and I can get together on online through Zoom, and that we will all go through our paperwork and go through it systematically, and I will guide you along. But for now, know this. Number one, you are not alone when it comes to paper organization. And number two, that you can paperwork into categories and start with just two. Start with what I mentioned, is separate what is important, the important documents, and then the ones that are active. But maybe before that, you will be able to get rid of much of everything else. If you're sorting through things that are like just so old and it's just been sitting in that box forever and you are never going to refer to it ever again. Let me see. One example of that would be like college textbooks or college paperwork. I mean, how long has it been, and why are you still keeping those things? So before you can even, before you even begin to want to categorize between very important documents and active papers, you may want to do some decluttering and, gather all of your paper, and you will have to look at them piece by piece, and you might need to schedule it on a weekly basis to take a look at your paper if that's something that that is really, really important to you and that you want to focus on. And again, if you need some help, let me know. I'll put in my link to a free 15-minute assessment to see if you and I can work together either on paper or any area of your home. That would be exciting if you and I can work together on that. And so just let me know what you need. And I feel like paper has been like really, really tough, for the audience of Organize with Grace. And I would love to help with that. Okay. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will catch up with you again on the next episode. Bye for now. Hi, real quick. If you enjoyed this episode or learned something new, please feel free to share it with a friend who also would like some resources on how to get started with their decluttering and organizing journey. And once again, I appreciate you so much, and I wish you the best in this journey.